All right, we can go ahead and get started. And I'm just curious, anyone in the chat who's already consulting, or is everyone here new? Just curious on that one, because we're kind of gearing this today towards newer people. But if any of you are consulting a little bit already, that's cool too. Just got started, new and exploring, really cool. Slowly on the side. Yep, awesome. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So today's presentation, we do this every month, and every month we try to do something a little bit different, but today we'll be targeting newer people like most of you guys who are slowly figuring it out. Megan, yep. And we'll just kind of tell you what the state of consulting is, what really is this word consulting that we're hearing so much about. It's becoming very popular, and how can it work for you? So we'll go through understanding what the heck consulting is, how does it work, what an employee is, which probably most of you are right now, versus a consultant, some consulting myths that you hear on LinkedIn and other places, and our story, how we got started in the last few years consulting, how we've transitioned to being full-time consultants, and then we're going to talk to you a little bit about our services that we have that might help you guys to get started. So we'll get started here. So what is consulting? And Kat, you can just go. So number one is this traditional kind of consultant, which is probably the stereotype that you have in your brain. This high-level decision-making person. They do strategic planning, operational improvement. They're a thought leader, and they've been around for like 2,500 years. They've got 15,000 plus subscribers or followers on LinkedIn, and they have a very fancy website, and you feel kind of intimidated by them. How can I be this consultant? I only have 8 years or 10 years, or I only have a small skill set. I don't know everything there is to know about nonprofits. How can I possibly be a consultant? So these are the kind of traditional ones. They're with big firms. They seem very expensive, and they're great, they're awesome, and they play a role in the sector, but that's not exactly the kind of consulting that we're talking about today. So go to the next slide. We're talking about specialty services. So this is, consulting number two. And number one's great. And if you're in the position to be that kind of traditional thought leader, everything that we talk about also applies to that. But what I want to talk about are these specialty, we have a typo there, but specialty services, which are more deep technical advice, tailored solutions in a specific niche where you're doing some implementation work. So it's some kind of a cross between an advisor and then a contractor. And examples of this might be someone who plugs in as a fractional fundraiser, or someone who comes in as a part-time person to do a specific project. You don't need as many years of experience. You're not consulting on a wide range of skill sets, but rather you're providing specific support, answering a specific problem with your solution. So when we got started consulting, we were doing a lot of technology consulting, specifically fundraising technology. And organizations would hire us to come in and help them set up a new CRM, a new donor database. So you guys know those are always kind of a pain in the neck. So we would help an organization move to a new one, migrate their data. It was a specific project with a specific period of time, but the people in-house didn't really have the skills to do that. So we had the skills, we would do it, and then we would train them afterwards, and then we would step out once the project was complete. So you can see me and Kat, we don't have 35 years in the industry. We don't have that many years of experience. We don't have 15,000 followers on LinkedIn, but we're able to consult by doing this specialty service project type work. So that's what we kind of advocate for. And it's a way that just normal people like you with certain skills can actually become consultants in the nonprofit sector. All right, so how does that differ from being an employee, which many of you probably are right now? There's a few key similarities and differences that we're going to talk through. And obviously, post-pandemic, things are kind of changing a lot. I just heard a study recently that in the next 10 years, Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, said that he believes in 10 years that full-time jobs, 9-to-5 employment are going to be a thing of the past, and everyone is going to be doing this kind of contract work. So just keeping that in mind, that this is where everything's going, not just the nonprofit sector. But similarities and differences, obviously you're doing purpose-driven work. That's just a part of being in the nonprofit sector. You are probably working in a nonprofit because you discovered a mission you were interested in, or maybe you had a skill set that you could apply there and you got really into this nature of service work. You have skill utilization is the same, whether you are working in-house or working as a consultant, whether you know how to fundraise, you know how to market, you know how to do technology like we did. There's going to be a skill. I know, Michelle, I think you're on the call, you do photography. So there's a huge range of skills here that you can apply both as an employee, but just as well as a consultant. And similarities, networking as well. You're continuing to work with the familiar sector and you have kind of the same relationships. A lot of the clients that we had as consultants, we actually have previously used to work with. So a lot of things are the same. There's just a few key differences. This is why a lot of people want to become consultants. This is the autonomy, the flexibility, and the income potential. So for you guys, if you are working a 9 to 5, you probably have set days off. You have certain, hours of the day that you need to be in an office or on your computer. I was just saying before, I've moved like 4 times this month. I'm moving all over the place. My husband's traveling right now. He's also a consultant. So when you are having this flexibility as a consultant, you don't have to work on anyone's schedule, which is really nice. I can work from anywhere. I'm literally working from the whole East Coast this summer. You also have a lot more autonomy. So you don't have the limit to your decision-making power that we felt a lot when we were in-house, where we just felt like there was always a committee for the committee for the committee to review us wanting to change one thing on the website. And that really just kind of drove us crazy. So being a consultant, you really get to choose what you want to work on, how you want to work on it, who you want to work with, and you get to set all of the parameters for all of the engagements where you use your skills. And the final thing that is really great about consulting, and obviously this is not overnight. Anyone who's telling you it's a get rich quick scheme, like, no, it's not. Obviously, it's a job like anything else. You have to work very hard. There's a process to building a business, but the income potential as a nonprofit consultant or as any kind of consultant where you're leveraging your skills, you have no cap on what you're able to earn as you are building your business. So when we were nonprofit employees, we actually both had very good jobs and we did make 6 figures, but the income potential was a 1 to 3% COLA increase every year. So that was kind of where you were capped. And we feel, or we know from our experience consulting, that we were able to very quickly, just by how we were pricing our jobs and how we were getting more clients, we're able to ramp up our monthly income for the business from 5 to 10 to 20 to over $20,000 a month, just by building a business and actually marketing our skills in a very smart way. So it's not a given, but if you're willing to do the work and build a proper business as a consultant, you can absolutely have more control over the income that you make each month. And I would just like to say that that also is something that you can control going up or going down. Like if you want to take on less clients one month because you have a lot going on and you don't want to be working as much, you can also lower the amount of time that you are working each month. So you have a lot of flexibility to decide, and you get to structure your work around your life instead of your life around your work. So these are all the things that we love about consulting and what we found made the biggest difference when we made that switch. Anyone relate to that? Just curious for a sec before we move on. Anything standing out to you? Is this something that you're looking for, that you're feeling in your current role, that you're looking for as you transition into consulting? And maybe you're not sure yet, you're just kind of figuring it out, but you're just curious to kind of take your pulse, take your temperature of what you guys are thinking as you think about this transition. We can keep moving here while you guys think about that. Okay, Erica, you said lack of flexibility as a director. Yes, tough. Doing your job, but the board was not thrilled with the flexibility that you wanted to have. Yep. And I think, Kat, you can relate to that a lot with you had your first kid when you were still in your full-time job. And I know Kat really struggled with that, having to go right back to work and not being able to be home with her daughter. And that's something that now is completely different. She gets to spend every day with her kids. All right, so a couple consulting myths here. Just as you're getting started, these are the things you're going to hear. People are going to tell you why it's not going to work, why you can't become a consultant. One is that nonprofits can't afford consultants. And It's just not true because there's a lot of consultants out there who are making plenty of money. It's really that nonprofits don't know where to find consultants is actually the truth. It's not that they can't afford them. They just don't know where they are and they don't know what they can hire them for. So a lot of times I think, and you all know this from being in nonprofits, like you think, oh, we'll hire a consultant for that. And you think of like a big fundraising firm or a big consulting firm and you're like, oh my God, our nonprofit could never afford that retainer. But you don't know that there's so many solo entrepreneurs out there who have the exact skill set you're looking for, whether it's maybe you're looking for email marketing or you're looking for strategic planning, anything that you're looking for, there might be one person out there whose rates are actually going to be very affordable for you as a nonprofit. So that's the problem is really there's just no place to connect the two. It's not that they can't afford them. They've got plenty in the budget. They just don't know where you are and how to spend it. Yeah, this one I love. Consulting is less stable than employment. Yeah. So the thing about this is that people think that full-time jobs are somehow going to protect them, but I don't know if anyone knows anyone that works in tech in the last year. The layoffs have been crazy. The tech companies are just letting people go by the tens of thousands. And this is an industry that's supposed to be like very high, very indestructible. Tech people make so much money. And we know a lot of people who were making quite a bit of money and they have now been laid off from their jobs and they're out here looking for work when other parts of the economy were actually more stable. So this is in nonprofit tech, this is in for-profit tech, but your job is not really, if you're an at-will employee, it's not really any safer than being out on your own. And for my husband and I, we've been consulting, both of us. He's a freelance writer and I obviously do this for the last 3.5 years. And we have so much more control over our income because we know how to go and find the money for ourselves. So we know we can go out and find clients and increase our workload and lower our workload as we need to accommodate our lifestyle. And we have control over that in a lot bigger way than actually having to rely on an employer who could terminate you at any time or can not give you a raise or anything like that. So if Kat and I needed to go out and pay ourselves $5,000 extra next month, I know that we could go out, find a job, and have that money in the bank in 6 weeks. So you do have a lot more control. Just a note here, I see Megan, yeah, working with a difficult ED who doesn't value work-life balance is tough. I think that's every industry. My sister's a nurse. She was just telling me she's afraid to take off for a surgery she needs because she knows they're short-staffed and they just don't understand the fact that you have a life outside of work. So I think that is everyone, but in nonprofits, just because you care about the mission, it can be really tough to toe that line of personal boundaries. Consulting is just for retired professionals. So that's going back to that first type of consultant that we have that we talked about earlier, where you think it's someone who's only 65 plus, has all these years of experience, has this amazing network. And those people make excellent consultants. We have people in our program now who are on the cusp of retirement and they're great. They have great networks and it's really like a shoe-in. Like you should absolutely do it if you are coming to the last 10 years before you retire. But we also know plenty of successful people. When we started consulting, I was 25 and we've been able to do it. We were, full-time consulting within a year. So if we're on the lower end of the spectrum and people who are 60, 70 years old, even older, are consulting, there's age is not a barrier. And you shouldn't think that you need a certain number of years of experience as long as you have a skill set that you can market. This is something consultants need to be experts in everything that comes up a lot in our program from people who are actively consulting, but they are sometimes afraid to maybe answer a question or take on a job if they don't know every single thing that the client wants them to do. And we just had this last week with someone who's an accountant who supports nonprofits, and he said that, I knew how to do the financial reporting, I know how to do all the QuickBooks for them, I know how to do the annual reporting, but they were asking about some state level reporting and I wasn't really sure about it. And so I didn't want to take the job because I was afraid that if I couldn't answer that one question, that they wouldn't take me seriously on the 4 or 5 other things that I know how to do. So we talked through that, and it's just funny that people have these amazing skills, but they think if I don't know one thing, then I'm not qualified. So that's why the word consultant probably isn't the best word. I think people think consultant means all knowing, but you certainly don't need to be as long as you're really good at what you do and you know how to do it on what you're offering very well, then you'll be fine. And this is the biggest one. Nonprofit experience is enough to succeed. So, of course, I'm saying that yes, if you have the skills, if you have some experience in the industry, whether that's as an employee, a volunteer, a board member, you absolutely can walk this path of trying to become a nonprofit consultant. But I will say that the biggest failures that we see among people who are trying and not succeeding to become a consultant is not having the business experience, not understanding what it actually takes to do the business side of things. So we want to be really clear on that, that if you don't know how to price your services, if you don't know how to set up statements of work, how to insure your work, how to manage employees if you have any, this is all the stuff that's really going to make and break your business, not the actual skill set that you have. So business smarts, business acumen is going to be the really important piece of becoming a successful consultant. Oh, and this is the last one. And this is really just what we said before with the experience level. You don't need to have everything. It obviously helps if you have different accolades or certifications. It's going to help you, but you're not hurt if you don't have them. You just need to know business practices to market, to sell, and to price, and then how to implement your offers. It's really the business stuff, and it really has nothing to do with how many diplomas you have hanging on your wall. So don't let that deter you from getting started.
Before we move on, are there any other myths that you guys have heard? We're happy to debunk those here.
Yeah, myths or any common stereotypes that you're afraid of, anything that's kind of holding you back right now as you're thinking about becoming a consultant or getting started. Well, that's interesting. Do you have to travel a lot? No, I'm just traveling for personal reasons. We never travel. We work from home. I don't think we've ever had to go in person to work with a client. Now, that obviously depends on what you do. If you offer a service where you need to be in person, then that will matter and you might want to go meet with them. But you certainly don't need to offer a service that requires you to be in person. We've had clients in the last year, we've had clients in California, Vermont, Michigan. So was it South Carolina or Georgia? I forget which state they were in.
EC, Thailand. Oh, the
DC,
Thailand one was
Thailand. Yeah,
not.
Thailand, the only problem with that was having to wake up really early because it was like a 13-hour, 12 hour, I don't know, it was some crazy time difference. So we were having to work at 6 a.m. Which
That was
complicated matters because I was working from Italy. So Kat was on East Coast time, I was on Italy time, and they were on Thailand time. So
Bangkok.
that was, yeah, that was probably the biggest challenge. But no, we never had to travel. Do you have to be really entrepreneurial or extroverted? Definitely not extroverted. You need to be confident in yourself, and there's ways to develop that confidence, like working with friends and talking things through. Kat and I've always supported each other when one of us is just not feeling it. Like whenever we do these webinars, I get super nervous right before it starts, and then I'm happy once we're here. But Kat always has to kind of talk me off the ledge. You don't when you're saying entrepreneurial, you don't have to be like the super creative person that's reinventing the wheel and coming up with new business concepts every few weeks. That's not going to help you. But understanding that it is a business and it needs to be run in a certain way. So you need to be very consistent with how you're pricing jobs, when you're billing for jobs, how you're tracking that. You need to be able to understand that you either need an accountant or you need to know how to do your taxes. And we can talk to you about how to do that and then how to market yourself and kind of build a funnel to attract clients. So those are the kinds of things that are more entrepreneurial or business minded, the business basics behind it, where if you're not doing those things, we know a lot of consultants who like way underprice their jobs because they just have no idea how to identify their cost. And then they lose money on their jobs. Or they're so distracted doing their work that they're not invoicing. So they're not actually getting paid for the work that they're doing. Um, or they don't have the proper certifications in place, just different things that will come up that will end up killing your business, or you get to the end of the year and you're like, well, I did all these projects, but I don't think I made any money. That's what we're really referring to when we're talking about entrepreneurship and business. But you do not have to be extroverted. We have super quiet, shy people in our program who do very well.
We are both
They,
introverts.
yeah, and both of us are like super quiet. Like the fact that we're even able to do these webinars like cracks me up. So, yeah. Any other questions before we move forward? All right, we'll keep moving.
Okay, so
So, a little bit.
oh,
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Kat. Kat's going to tell you guys a little bit about our story. And if you have any questions here, we'll just keep answering as we go.
yeah, so we wanted to share this because we get this question all the time. People want to hear, like, well, how did you do it? How did you leave your full-time job to become a consultant? So, as Julia mentioned, we were in nonprofits. I mean, I think Julia worked as a development director for like 5 years. I was a program director and digital director for, I mean, almost, I think, 8 years, 10 years, something like that. So, we didn't have a ton of experience when we started consulting, but we did have various skill sets. And yeah, we decided to start consulting in January of 22, so going on 3 years now. And as Julia mentioned, we first started out we made the mistake of offering everything under the sun and eventually did learn to niche down to offering CRM support. So we've just been so happy with the lives we've been able to build as consultants that now we're just like, oh my gosh, why didn't we do this sooner? Everybody should do this. So we're really on this mission to help bring more people to build this life that they love because it's really incredible. And as Julia mentioned, it's about building your life and integrating work into your life, not so much the other way around. And both of us had fallen into that trap of being work, work, work focused. I mean, we had both ended up with health issues. Julia ended up in the hospital with ulcers for stress related overworking issues. I was having panic attacks every day. So definitely negative. It impacted us negatively. And we both hit rock bottom and we were like, well, we got to change something. And that was when we decided to start consulting to take care of ourselves more and build really more flexible lives. And here's just a behind the scenes look at our business. So we got our first client. It was an old colleague of ours. We got them. That was our first client a month into the business. And then we slowly started building up. I actually was working a full-time job as an employee. I'd taken like an easy remote job so that I could still have the income. I had a young family at the time and I couldn't just leave cold turkey and just start consulting. So I had this easy job that was bringing in money and we were able to build up a client base. I think in the first 2 years, well, we had, I don't know, maybe 15 clients between those 2 years and just kept going up. And as Julia mentioned, she was able to travel. She spent all of last summer traveling throughout Italy. I am able to balance being a mom. So I did the math the other day, and I spend about 20 hours with my kids and about 30 hours working a week. So tons of flexibility. And we were able to hit our first 20K month. That was a year into the business. So yeah, we were able to basically replace our full-time salaries within a year. And if you guys are interested in more of this program that Julia was talking about, we are calling it the Relatable Nonprofit Mentorship. We are just absolutely in love with the lives that we have and we want to help other people. So we have launched this. It's a 12-month program. It's more of a community now, actually, and we are moving people through how to build their business. So really focused on the business acumen, the skills that you need. So we are walking through everything from, how to invoice to how to write a proposal. Julia rotates through different topics every week. It's a weekly call where we meet and we have a short presentation followed by just group Q&A and workshopping. Last week we did a call on mindset. The week before that, I think we did, what
We
was
did
it?
the website, we were workshopping. We've actually been doing these really cool ones lately where we're live workshopping. So we wanted to help everyone write their website copy. So we set up templates and everyone got a template at the beginning of the call. And we were just live writing everyone's website copy, which was really fun and helpful because at each section, everyone was able to call out what they were writing and ask for help and kind of get feedback. And it was just super cool. And we've also done other ones on branding and marketing and things like that, just to help you develop your brand, your offer, what you actually want to offer and your niche, and then the system side of things as well. So how to keep yourself organized in the business. So we rotate through a lot of topics and we also take requests, which is nice. If anyone wants to put something on the schedule, we will put together a presentation on that topic.
Yep. Yep. So there's the weekly call component. We also have a community that's on Circle, and there are different boards in there where people share their work and we give them feedback on the work. We're actually seeing a lot of partnerships and referrals form, which is really cool. I don't think we really anticipated that when we first started the program, but different consultants are teaming up and referring other, like we have a planned giving person who's working with one of the people that focuses on accounting. So some really nice partnerships are starting to form. They're meeting together in person. And it's just a really cool way to network with people who are on the same journey as you, and you guys can help each other out. How large is your network? We have about 10 people in the program right now. So it's still fairly small. And yeah, anything else about the program I missed, Julia?
No, I think Circle, if any of you are familiar, it's a really great platform. We're actually moving onto it fully this week. So you'll have a variety. Basically, once you join, you get all the on-demand content for anything from learning how to do sales, marketing, etc., to business development. You'll be able to connect with and meet everyone else who is in the program. Now that we started the program in February, we enrolled our initial group of people who are about halfway through. So now what we're doing is we're opening it up. We're going to be enrolling about 10 people a month is our goal. And that gives us the ability to kind of make sure that everyone who's coming into the program is getting a lot of one-on-one time with us when you get started. So you can ask your questions. We meet with you one-on-one on Zoom, talk to you about what you're really struggling with, what you want to work on, and really give you that one-on-one support. So we are trying to keep it purposely small as it grows each month. But yeah, the accountability factor is great. You get all of our templates, everything that we've done, plus our experience. And we're also bringing in some outside presentations as well, which I think will be really exciting as we get into the end of the year.
Yeah, and so we have two different payment plans. Most people in the program are doing this 12-month, $275 a month, but we do have a couple that have decided to pay it up front. You do save almost a monthly payment with the upfront payment. And that's it. Any other questions? I mean, I guess to be clear, so Julia and I, we both wanted to start this program because we didn't see anything else like it out there. And we spent a lot of time just on the basics of just business development. And it just took a lot of time. I mean, I would say probably a year before we were able to have a really good system and a foundation in place. Just a lot of trial and error, watching free webinars or like signing up for all these free courses online and blogs, whatever. So we did it the hard way and we made a lot of mistakes along the way. So we built this program to help other people accelerate their growth. What can you do it month to month or can you do it year? Yeah, so we do ask for a year commitment because we feel that really growing your business is going to take about a year. You're going to have different questions in month one of growing than you are in month 10. So we do feel that a year commitment is appropriate for building the foundation.
And I'm just going to drop the application here for you guys if you want to check it out, possibly fill it out. We'll get back to you within the next few days to let you know if you're in, if you're a good fit, and we can go from there. But since we finished a little early, if anyone has any other questions about consulting in general that we can help you with, we'd be happy to answer your questions.
Yeah, or maybe you want to share like what niche you're thinking about or what services you're thinking about offering. We're happy to give any advice too. We've seen some pretty interesting niches. I'm trying to think. We have one person in the program who's doing museum accessibility. So she has a couple of kids that have, I think they have autism, and she's working on building out this curriculum to introduce two different museums across the country to make them more inclusive. So that's a very, very specific and narrow niche that maybe isn't as traditional or cookie cutter as like fractional fundraiser or whatever, not to diss on those services or grant writer, but it's something very specific and different. Taylor.
Taylor's asking, how do you find your niche? Are there specific examples? Yeah, so grant writing itself is a niche. Obviously, you can get more specific than that if you're just doing federal grants or you're doing a lot of grants for maybe a specific kind of organization. So it could be like if you only fundraise or for you only do grant writing for environmental groups or things like that. So that's going to help you kind of stand out as like, oh, you're an environmental group, I get environmental grants, and you can develop partnerships with different community foundations and donors who focus on those things. It's really kind of carving out something that's going to make you stand out as the natural person to call when that problem comes up. So if someone thinks of you as a grant writer, that's great. There's a million grant writers, but oh, this person does environmental grants for organizations in these states. Well, that just got a whole lot more specific. And now the next time I know that I need someone to do that for my organization, I know who I'm going to call. So you're helping people kind of pre-qualify you as you are marketing who you are and who exactly you serve.
It seems counterintuitive. We made the mistake. I mean, remember our first website? It had like literally like, I don't know, 80 services on there.
Yeah, we're like, we know how to market, we know how to copyright, we know how to fundraise, but people are like, all right, great, what do I hire you for? So the less that you have on your website, the better. Erica says, I haven't seen it much, but social impact strategist as a niche, be from community outreach, social impact, yeah, maximizing social impact, maintaining sustainability. Yeah, that can be a niche, definitely. I think there's a lot of that going on. It's really just about how you stand out. It's who are you? What's the problem you're addressing? Who has that problem? And then what is the transformation that your services are going to achieve? Michelle, how much time, content do we spend on client acquisitions? My biggest focus right now. I'm already a consultant with a website niche and everything. Are you saying content within the program, Michelle? Because we definitely have a ton of content on marketing, sales calls. Yeah. So like sales calls, templates, or how to use LinkedIn, how to use Instagram, how to build a content funnel where you're actually acquiring people and getting them onto an email list. So we cover all of that. Yeah, we talk about we did a website training because people were needed help with the copywriting, but we don't think you need to have a website up front to start consulting successfully. It's more so like being able to go out and get clients that matters. We really didn't have much of a website for the first year, and that didn't make much of a difference.
We even
Megan, oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, Julia. We did a one. We have a person who's interested in thought leadership, so we did a training on how to pitch to podcasts, blogs. So it's really, I mean, a variety, everything that you could want to know. We're teaching it.
Yeah, setting up referrals, setting up partnerships. We're going to be doing one on setting up subscription models. Someone was asking us about how to do a VIP day, so we're going to do a training on that. And that's the nice thing too, because we have the time now to sit back and do this research and develop the trainings, even if it's something we're not super familiar with. We reach out to our network and we put together a like program for you guys based on that information. So what used to take us like a really long time to put that all together has now been is now a lot easier for you. We can just put it together for you and you'll have the content. Megan says, I'm a nonprofit marketer working full time and I want to transition to consulting. I'd love to specifically support Down syndrome and adoption focused nonprofits, trying to make lots of connections now, but not try to break in, start the conversation. It's kind of scary. Yeah, it can be super nerve-wracking to like reach out. So if you're doing that, that's really awesome. The fact that you have like a type of organization that you want to work with is so great. I forget, you might have said this already. Do you know what you want to offer? Were you saying social impact?
No, she.
Uh,
But Megan, I mean, we would suggest if you're looking at a year before you want to actually make the leap, start doing informational interviews now, and that can be a great way to build connections. And then later on, when you're ready or the nonprofit's ready, they can reach out to you.
And Taylor says, how do you find clients as someone brand new? So that was us. The first thing that we did was go through our email contacts, our cell phone contacts, our LinkedIn contacts, our social media contacts, and anyone we knew who had any kind of relationship to a nonprofit. Catalina had actually just finished a master's in nonprofit management at Columbia, so we reached out to a bunch of her professors and we just asked everyone for 20, 30 minutes of their time. And we said, hey, can we talk to you? We're trying to figure out what to offer, who to serve, what different segments of the market were, because obviously it's very different serving small nonprofits that do like 500,000 a year versus serving large enterprise level $25 million budget nonprofits. So just even that understanding the beginning of well, who is looking for what kind of help really helped us to identify our target market. There are different boards that post jobs that I don't think are super effective, but having conversations, going to networking events, joining organizations, like what we're trying to do, we'd love to do is have actually a board like this where nonprofits can post jobs in the program. So we're working on that for you guys as well. But conversations with everyone that you know. And I think, Taylor, you work with a nonprofit that kind of does this business development, right? You're up in New England somewhere. And I think you probably have a ton of people right in your network there that would really help you just to understand the lay of the land and then figure out what you want to offer if you want to niche down your grant writing, and then you start reaching out from there. All right, anyone else?
And I will say we hear this a lot from new consultants. They say they're doing pro bono work, or like they're taking clients on that can't pay what they want to be making. So Julie, I don't know if you want to speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, we never had to do that, and I don't really recommend it just because there is a huge market out there of people who will pay for your services. It's just understanding and actually making yourself believe that there is a need for what you're offering. And I think if you don't believe that, you don't believe that people will pay for your services, then other people are not going to believe that they should pay for your services. So what you really need to do if you're getting started is go and hunt for that problem and find the target audience and what problem it is that they are trying to solve. So we give the example of the woman in our program who's doing museum accessibility. Museums, many of them are for children, they're educational. If you have children who are coming in who have sensory issues, who have trouble dealing with the regular exhibits, that's a problem. And to fix it would be making it more accessible. So this is a person who's uniquely positioned to solve that problem for them. And that is going to add a lot of value. So where can you add value is the question that you want to be answering right now. And the more specific you can get, the better. And when we say niche, we mean specific. So saying that you want to offer like, mission-driven support is, that's sort of redundant. Like a lot of the language that goes on in nonprofits just kind of drives me crazy because a lot of the language is a lot of buzzwords and it doesn't really mean a whole lot. What is the specific problem that you want to solve for these nonprofits that they are dying to fix? And you look around the nonprofits you work in. What is, for us, that was how we got into CRMs because I've never met a nonprofit that knows how to use their CRM and they pay all this money for them, or they don't even have one. And that was an easy problem right away. We're like, okay, well, we know how to set these up. So anyone looking for help? And we went to a couple of CRM companies and they said, oh my God, we need so much help onboarding people, training people once they get set up. It was such an easy thing to offer. So
And they
once we
ended up
identified that
giving us
problem,
business.
yeah, the actual CRMs would send us business because they had so much volume of people trying to get onto the CRMs that they didn't actually have the time or the resources themselves to train the new nonprofits who were getting onto their software. So we would actually do those trainings and we were charging, up to $3,000 a month for those trainings. So once you understand the problem and the solution and how you add value, you're able to charge. So I really would encourage you not to be doing too much pro bono work, if any, and instead be focusing on your value add.
In our experience, we found the lowest paying clients were the most difficult to work with, the most needy too. I don't know if you want to speak on that, Julia, but that was just our experience.
Yeah, and that just goes along with everyone thinking that all nonprofits have no money. You can develop your services in two ways. You can absolutely develop services that are targeted towards enterprise level organizations where you are, it's really, high end white glove service. You're charging $5,000 to $10,000. We've charged more for a project with that kind of an organization. Or you can be offering something that's very small, very manageable, and you're offering that in volume. But you understand that if you're charging a small amount of money, it needs to be something that's easy to replicate and that you can sell a lot of every month. Whereas if you're working with very expensive clients, you maybe only need to bring on one or two or three a month to be hitting that 10,000 or more a month in income. So really thinking about who you want to target again is that important piece, because if you're trying to work with people who are really unable to afford a $500 service, you don't stand much of a chance of really making much in that deal, because you have to understand your cost, the time it takes you to do that service. So everyone having a cost estimation done on every service they're offering is also really important and something that we teach in the program.
Yeah, I'm
Any
trying to
other
think.
questions?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, what were you? I'm sorry, what you're trying to think of, Kat?
I was just thinking it's hard because, coming from the nonprofit, you being an employee, you want to help. You know that these nonprofits have limited budgets. You're really, connected to the mission. And in the beginning, we had this kind of not a savior complex, but we were like, oh, we just really want to help them. Like we need to make it work. And we would just end up really slashing our costs. I mean, we were losing money just because we were taking a hit financially in order to make this nonprofit happy or make them what they wanted. So it's important. I think something that we've had to learn along the way is just building the confidence and to say no, because saying no means saying yes to something else. And I mean, we did have to fire a client because they were just making our lives very, very difficult. And this is one of the lower paying ones that we had. Yeah.
Any other questions? Anyone thinking about applying? Have the application here. I can drop it in again. And if you want to talk to us at all, you'll be able to book a call just to get more perspective. We're happy to share that as well. But it is a really exciting career that we are really excited about. Like I said, I've been traveling all summer, last summer, and I really would not have been able to do this if I had stayed in my full-time job and was expected to show up every day at work or remotely in Washington, D.C. So life can change a lot. It can change very quickly. I think we all know that after the pandemic, but it's been really great for us. And this program, which we run, alongside of our consulting work, we really just started to kind of help other people in the same position. And I know we've spoken with a lot of you who are on the call today already about your experience, and we'd love to help you. So let us know if you have any other questions. If not, we're gonna close off a little early here.